What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. I'm your host, Eliot Marshall, and it is my goal with each episode of this podcast to share the stories, strategies, tactics, tools, and resources that will help you establish or grow your martial arts school. The Black Belt Business Podcast is brought to you by Easton.Online. You can find all of our digital courses, martial arts curriculums, and resources designed to help you enhance your business at Easton.Online. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. We're back to another episode of Easton.Online Black Belt Business Podcast. Let's start like we've been starting. I think it's good. I think it's good for people to reiterate. This is how you start everything. Success, segue, right? So how we been? It's been a month. How's everyone doing? Jordan, you first. Check in, homie.
Man, I'm doing good. I'm excited to be off my competition season that I had planned out for myself for the year. It feels good to do jiu-jitsu without having that in the back of my mind, because it allows me to personally, it allows me to let go and play a little bit more and try new things and tap more without feeling like I'm building bad habits that are going to carry over into a match or something like that. So training wise, I'm good. Life is good. Yeah, man, living the dream.
Awesome. Success? Any success?
Oh, success. Goodness gracious. That was kind of the success, getting into that phase of training and feeling good, you know.
Awesome. Cool. Phipps, what you got, babe?
I think my success is just a little streak of semi-healthiness. 2 weeks now. 2 weeks without injuring or aggravating some random part of my body, which has been a struggle recently, just with training. It's just been random things popping up every other week where I'll feel good for 1 week and the next week I'm injured. And I don't even want to use the word injured because I'm not missing training time. I'm just, I'm less than I usually would be because of something being aggravated. So had a little streak of being healthy, and the beautiful part about it is this is a down week for me in training. So going into that week already healthy, I don't have to try to rest something up. I'm already in a good spot, and I can just kind of, heal a little bit further. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. And then, my success probably along those same lines, just getting to train unencumbered.
Nice. Man, I've had a great month. Basketball took a little bit lighter of a load, I found a really good new software. So that has been really nice and easier, much easier for me. I spend a lot of my time dealing with basketball these days, as well as Easton.Online, trying to take the concepts that I know from us at Easton and move them over there. So that's it's a very interesting thing for me because we have this great business that is Easton with people and careers and all that stuff. And then over there, I feel like a moron. It's like a shit show still. I'm how did we mess this up again? But when we think about it, it was like that with Easton too, right? So, but it's hard to remember for me sometimes. So basketball's gotten easier. My kids are playing. I love that. I'm in Hawaii right now. So this is always a success for me to be in Hawaii. I get a lot of family time. And man, I forgot this in our meeting last week. I had the most epic afternoon with Henzo.
Where?
He was in town. Yeah, he was in town for 1FC. I saw it on Instagram. So I shot him a text. Which you never know, right? Because it's Henzo,
Right.
And he responds to me. I shouldn't say that. He almost always responds to me. That's a false statement. So he responds to me the next morning, and he's like, Eliot, come, what are you doing, man? I'm like, Henzo, man, I'd love to come see you. And he's like, man, he's like, I'm at the pool at my hotel right now. Come down. And man, you never know what you're getting into with Henzo, right? It's 3 p.m. I'm like, oh shit. There's always people around Henzo, right? Because he's just such a figure. And when I got to the pool, it was just me and Henzo. And we hung out for 3 fucking hours and just talked. I've never had this experience with Henzo because it's always in an academy, going to lunch afterwards. It's always this production almost because he's such a figure. We just hung out. We just hung out. He talked about his family. I talked about my family. Talked, history, all kinds of stuff. I think it was cool because he could see that I'm really doing well in my life. So that I think that was really cool for him. So, yeah, it was an amazing experience that I don't know that you get too often because damn, it's Henzo. You
Yeah.
know,
And this was in Denver?
in Denver, yeah, because the one
Oh,
FC
rad.
was in Denver.
Rad.
So I just
Yeah,
like
very
drove
cool.
down. Yeah,
Was he
I
here to
just drove down.
was he here to corner somebody, or was he just chilling?
No, he's super tight with Shatri, who's
Oh, okay.
the CEO owner of One FC.
Word. So he was just
He
there
gave
to
he gave Shatri
hang.
his black belt that the night before
Word.
on air.
Oh,
So,
cool.
but like you never like literally we just like hung out in a fucking pool and by the at a hotel and it was just the two of us. It was badass. It was badass. So, man, let's jump into some stuff now. I want to say from our first meeting that we had with the new accelerator group. So don't forget, guys, if you want to join the accelerator group, actually the best time to join accelerator is the Monday before the last Monday of the month. Okay, because if you join the last Monday of the month, you get a free week always, and you get a free meeting with us now. Right, like we have our group meeting the last Friday of the month. So if you join the last Monday, then you'll get the meeting. You'll still be in your free week time. We're not expecting that you're going to quit because the material's good, but just that little extra push. So one of the things that I think a lot of people were saying, Phipps, you were there for a little bit, was like, man, how do you get these systems like implemented? It's fucking hard, right? It's really hard to get you get on there and you read them, or you watch our videos, and then where do you start from there, right? Like, Jordan, you've started a new school,
Yeah.
and how do you get everyone to, like, do it? It's probably easier with a new school because they've never done it a different way,
Yeah.
But,
I
like,
do.
you're a program director now, and you got to go down and you watch, I'm not going to say this is happening, but this is just an example. You watch somebody butchering a kids class on systems that we already have and it's already laid out. And you're
No.
like, you want to be like, what the fuck, motherfucker? It's right there. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't, but that generally doesn't go the best with those words.
No, but it's very understandable why
Yeah.
you might get to that point. Because you can literally spell something out on a piece of paper. There's no room for misinterpretation, and it's going to get misinterpreted.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
I think scholars are still debating this, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know that there's a black and white silver bullet, and if there is a silver bullet, like, God, somebody let us know. Because I think this is a perpetual struggle. It's driven me to hypothesize or theorize that SOPs are not always enough. Like, I don't know that SOPs are systems, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think they're
Mm-hmm.
blueprints. I think they're instructions. And I guess depending on your definition of a system, you could quantify or qualify an SOP as one. But I think it takes more. And I think you just kind of have to chip away at it, like a little bit each day. I'll use the front desk as an example because everybody, I think, can relate to that. Like, for example, we have SOPs on how to do pretty much every process at the front desk. But if you just give a front desk employee the SOP and say, here, do it, it's probably not going to happen exactly as it is written on the page. It's probably going to be their interpretation of what's written on the page. So I think in those kinds of scenarios, I think it takes someone to do the interpreting for them and explain it to them, teach them, mentor them, apprentice with them, whatever you want to call it. And you do it alongside them until they're ready to do it on their own. But you also have to be wary of entropy. It is human nature to decay. People are going to fall off the wagon. And holding the line is the next piece of this. And I would say that this is particularly tough, I think, for managers to hold the line, right? Because they think they've got something sorted, and then they leave it alone and they move on to like some other area. And before you know it, things aren't happening the way they're supposed to before, right? Like all of a sudden your employees stop getting the information they need to get when they're on the phone, or, they stop following up properly with new incoming leads or something like that. So it does take monitoring of the machine. And this was something that I'm really trying to take to heart, that I picked up from the Elon Musk biography. And I know he's a polarizing guy, but it is a really
Oh
good
my
book.
God, you went political on a podcast? That's
It's
not
not
political.
political. It's
I'm
not
joking.
political.
I'm joking. I'm
Okay, good,
joking. I'm
good. I was
joking.
making sure you weren't going there. I was like, it's not fucking political. We're talking
No,
about
everything's political, George.
talking about
You
like,
didn't know?
yeah, I guess it is until you get off social media and then you're fine. But no, there was a line in the book that said, building the machine that builds the product is harder than building the product. And when you build the machine, it's not enough to build the machine. You have to build a system that monitors the machine, right?
Oof.
And the more you want to scale, like the harder it becomes, So like Elon Musk, like I think what he is best at is optimizing systems, like figuring out where the kinks in the system are and smoothing those things out. But what he's also really good at is he's good at systems that monitor the systems. So like when he's got his assembly line, his factory, building Teslas, like he has a system of monitors with like indicator lights and how much time each step of the process is taking. Is the assembly line moving? Is it not moving? He's got a system of monitors that let him know what's going on. And, at Easton, we talk about auditing a lot, right? Like, of course, trust is our core value. We trust that everybody's doing things to the best of their ability, trusting that they're doing the job correctly, but you can't abdicate accountability. Like you have to delegate and you have to hold people accountable, which means you got to follow up and check on things. So not only do you have to guide people on the system, but you have to have somebody that's auditing the leads. Are they following through the cracks? We got to read our emails that our front desk is sending out. And that's a never ending thing. I think there's ways to build systems that free up bandwidth and make this process easier, but I don't think there's any getting away from it entirely.
I want to make everyone feel a
Yeah.
little better with what you're saying here, especially with the front desk, because we literally just went through this a couple months ago.
Truth.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
Easton.Online did a retreat with our members that we had. We were all staying in the house together. We were hanging out, and we decided to call each other's front desks. Right? Like, or just actually, it wasn't just each other's. We probably called 40 academies around just to see how people did it. We were the worst.
Whoops.
Like, we weren't kind of the worst. We were the fucking worst. Like, we actually had one person went on the call when they called our school, and it was my home academy, Denver, which is one of the most established schools, right? The person was like, "Hello? Yeah, we got jiu-jitsu classes. How much is it? Oh, it's $229 a month. Do I need to?" And then like just like that, like doesn't even know the person's name yet. And then the next question was, "Do I need a gi?" "Yeah, you need a gi. We sell them here." But here was the kicker. He was like, "You don't even have to buy ours. You can go on the internet and buy your own gi." And I'm sitting here like in the background, like I'm right there. And I wanted to jump on the phone and be like, "Yo, you dumb motherfucker, what are you doing?" And those of you that are on Easton.Online, on the Accelerator Growth Program already, you know that we have this so laid out.
Yeah.
Right? So to what you were saying, like we have how to make a phone call and answer the phone and respond. We have this so laid out, broken down into step 1, step 2, step 3, right? Like not even the whole phone call together. I don't think you could lay it out better.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I bet when we had first developed that process and that system, and we probably made a huge push to implement it and get everybody on the same page, I bet there was a period of time there where everybody was doing it exactly right and they were crushing it, right? But we can have a little empathy here, and that doesn't excuse it, but it does help us understand that, I'm sure that, there's GMs, AODs, DFIs who are, supervisors of these things. Like, they get tired of sitting in on their staff's sales calls and listening to whether or not they're doing it right, right? You're a front
Mm-hmm.
desk employee. I mean, how many hundreds of times can you answer the phone before, like, you're just tired that day? And, like, you're supposed to get all this information and stuff like that, but man, you're just tired and you just let it slip. Who
But
knows?
ours wasn't that. Ours was every school we called. So
Yeah,
this was
yeah,
now a system wide. It wasn't just like one
right,
person. Like, okay, this one kid fucked up, right?
right.
We called 4 Easton schools, maybe 5, and every single one of them was not good. So
Yeah.
we had to then go back, right? And Ian, just so everyone knows real fast, I didn't yell at anyone. And before we
Not
did this,
anybody?
no one, no.
You didn't
Okay,
yell at any of the employees.
or Mike, or Ian.
All right.
No,
Good for you.
no, yeah, no. I just called,
And you're
you
like,
know,
y'all.
and I was like, "Hey guys, we have a problem,"
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
because now look, 8 years ago, Eliot's yelling for sure,
Right.
without a doubt, you know. So I think to answer the question, I'm going to ask you now, Phipps, is you can't get mad, you know, because like when people aren't buying in, when people aren't doing it right, like because that just never really gets it done. What do you think, Phipps?
Well, you can definitely get mad, but you can't get mad at them, right?
Okay, yeah, you can be mad, right?
Yeah. And just using my experience as a department head, like I remember I was doing evaluations for everybody in my department, just making sure that we're coaching the class the way it's supposed to be coached. We're hitting all of our time markers. And, there were just a couple that were just so far removed from from the standard that I thought everyone was adhering to. And I was like originally like very mad. I wanted to blame them. I wanted to like, well, do you not care? Do you, but deep down, I know that the people I was working with, they want to do well. They want to do well and they try their hardest. So it's not, I don't look at that and, when I have to think about it, I'm mad, but then I'm like, it's not their fault. It's my fault. I'm their manager. I'm the person who's supposed to be setting the standard. And because, in the past couple of years, I've just not been coaching as many classes before the standard was being set by me being in there coaching the classes, right? You see me coaching the kickboxing, you see me coaching fundies. You just have to, do something similar to what I'm doing. But now that I'm a little bit further removed from that much coaching at every level of the program, I lost sight of the fact that we need to just be constantly assessing this and training and then retraining. And Jordan hit it perfectly. Like, you can start off, everyone who has been approved to coach knows how to do it, and they do it great, right? But you just coach and you coach and you coach, and slowly, a little bit here slips, a little bit there slips, and now you're
sitting on the wall, right? You're like, show the move, sit on the wall for a second, you know?
And now you're completely so far removed from the standard that we want to set. And so one thing that we always have to be doing is training and retraining, and when I realized where we were, I immediately, after I was angry, after I calmed down, I realized this is on me. I am not making sure that the standards are where they need to be and that we're always reinforcing like what this should look like. So I started taking a big portion of our monthly meetings for the coaches, and we would just I would pick an aspect of the class that I wanted everyone to do better, whether it's how we give announcements, the speech we give after class, the round, how we explain the round and demonstrate the technique on the bag for kickboxing, for example. We would go through, we would role play all of that. We'd workshop it together so all the coaches could, give their feedback. This is what went well. This is what you could improve upon. And what I saw from just doing that for a quarter and a half, so 4 or 5 months, everything went up. The next time I did evaluations,
Hold on, how long did you say?
About 4 or 5 months.
5 months. Let's call it a half a year.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stop you here for a sec so everyone can can like pay attention to that, because I think that the expectation is, oh, I went over it once, right? Like oh, we're Eliot, we're doing your core values course that you guys have in the accelerator program, right? We're going through that, and we set them, but man, everyone keeps fucking them up, right? But we set them Monday, and now it's Tuesday, and they're fucking them up. But we just agreed Monday that these were the values, So I want to make sure everyone hears that. 6 months. 6 months.
Yeah, and honestly, it could be
longer.
More if you're implementing something that's brand new. I'm just retraining on stuff that everyone's been trained on.
Exactly.
And it could have been done faster, but we only have one meeting a month with our part-time coaches, and we can only focus in those role-playing sessions. We only focus on one thing, right? Where we probably, if it's your front desk or people you see daily, people you have meetings with weekly, you probably could have got that done in a month and a half or maybe less. But just kind of the restrictions that we had, it did take that long. But like I said, just doing that every single time we did it, I would see a dramatic improvement. And even when I wasn't doing assessments, even when I'm just walking into the academy, maybe I'm coaching next, and so I'm watching the end of the class in front of me, I just see the improvements like right away. So the retraining and the constantly, it doesn't matter how good your employee is, how in line they are, they understand the expectations. They will fall off if you're not constantly training and retraining.
And it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And this is one of the reasons that we want you guys, the people doing the accelerator course, to go slow. Because you can't implement core values and curriculum and sales. You just can't do it all at once. It's impossible. So you got to take your time. Okay? And that's the big thing. The first thing is you have to get the people on board with you and the culture and where you're going. And if you can't do that, right, if you don't spend the time there, and just that part might be 6 months, depending on how big your organization is. Just that part could be 6 months, right? And then you can actually start doing things, right? You have to think of this when you're implementing these kinds of things, like people learning jiu-jitsu or learning Muay Thai. Man, you when you first learned, you were told, Phipps, to throw your jab, point your pinky up, get your shoulder up, and keep your other hand tight. You were told for a while, and you might be able to do it nice and slow, with your teacher right there watching you. But the second somebody stood in front of you and might punch you back, didn't punch you back, right? Just stood in front of you with their hands up, like they could possibly punch you back. Shit, chin up, hand down. By the way, did you watch the event this weekend? The UFC?
I watched it.
Holy shit, that was amazing.
It was cool.
That was cool production.
Yeah.
That was cool production. Like Dana hit it. Dana hit it. You got to give that motherfucker credit.
Amazing.
So, you don't even care what the fights were like. It was too cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure.
Anyway, sorry.
I agree. But one thing I want to kind of also emphasize is sometimes we look at the finish line and that's where we want to be, and we're not as focused on the fact that we have to put one foot in front of the other to get to the finish line. But when you put that one foot in front of the other, you are making progress toward the finish line. So you have in your mind what you want your academy to be, how you want your staff to perform, and you're so focused on getting there that you're like, well, we have to do it all at once. But if you do it step by step, every step you take, you're going to be a little bit better. You're going to be a little bit closer to that finish line or that academy that you want to have. So don't feel like you have to rush it, because if you try to do it all at once, nothing will get done.
And small steps, right? Small steps. Don't take big steps. Because when you end up taking big steps, when it gets messed up, you got to take big steps backwards too, right? And when you take these little small steps, even if you have to take a step back, it's a little step back, right? It's a little step back. You don't go from on the person's back to the bottom of side control, right? You go from on the person's back to the top of the mount, or chest to chest half guard, something like that. You're not like all the way back, goddamn, right? Little steps. So the other question that I think we get a lot, um, that we get pushback on, let's say, is curriculum. Like I read the comments sometimes, like on our posts, just to see what people are saying, and there's just always pushback on curriculum. Like somebody called us a McDojo for having curriculum.
Oh
Um,
wow.
oh yeah, you know, and okay, hold on. I don't want him to be listening to this, and he didn't. He said it's very McDojo like to have a curriculum. Um, I said I disagree. I agree with the other things you said, and he was very respectful afterwards. So I don't want to trash him at
Yeah.
all. What do you think it is? Like, why do people struggle so mightily with the idea of curriculum in martial arts? Do you think?
One, I wonder if it's just how they learn jujitsu. Like, um, I've noticed that I have a tendency to be biased towards the way that I came up.
Mm-hmm.
I came up with curriculum, so I think curriculum's the way to go. I think some people came up without it, so they think it's not the way to go. Elliot, you might be, and I might re-ask your question here. Did you
Yeah,
come up, like, was there always curriculum at Easton, or was there a point when it got implemented?
dog. We passed the garden escape side control every day for 6 months.
Until you got good at it, right?
I think we threw the mountain there. One day a week. Yeah, no.
Hmm.
We trained right away. Like our intro class was a fight. You beat somebody up. Like you begged to fight.
Yeah.
So like what we do now is way different for me. Um, I guess to answer for me in curriculum, I guess Jordan, that now that you ask it back, um, and what I said is everyone in anything anybody's ever learned as a whole goes through curriculum.
Yeah.
Unless you're a genius. You
Right.
know, now the very few special people that are geniuses can figure it out. You
Hmm.
know, but we're not talking about that, right? We're not talking about making Gordon Ryans on this podcast,
Hmm.
right? Like that. That's not what we do here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we hope a Gordon Ryan-esque type person, that ability can come, but those are special individuals that can do special things, right?
Uh-huh.
Physically. There's Renee. Uh, what we're talking about is how to best run a school for a bunch of people,
Yeah.
right? So, how do you make the most people the best?
That would be curriculum.
That
Yeah.
would be curriculum.
Yeah,
That
and
would
I'll
be
say
curriculum.
this, like, when we started Easton Longmont, I was a purple belt, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I like to tell people because, I caught some shit for not being a black belt, with new signups and stuff like that when we opened up. But, I think the point that everybody missed was that, man, I wasn't teaching out my ass here. Like, I was following the Easton curriculum that is tried and true and developed by black belts, like such as Amal, such as Eliot. Their pictures are on the wall. If it hadn't have been for that curriculum, I wouldn't have been able to open that school, build that school, without a black belt, and the students wouldn't have been able to progress and become as skilled as they did. Uh, so I think that, I look on one end of the spectrum, jujitsu is always changing. It's very organic. It's evolving. It's the overall meta. It evolves and changes every year. And I can imagine that some schools feel that in order to be authentic or on the cutting edge, that jiu-jitsu is very creative and it needs to be more of an art form, and it's something that they need to pay attention to. They need to change and grow and evolve with it. And I think that Easton has that too. Like our advanced classes very much evolve on the cutting edge of the martial art. But we're talking about like our fundamentals and our intermediate being
Hipping out hasn't
everybody's.
changed, dog.
Say what?
Hipping out hasn't changed.
Flipping out hasn't changed exactly. Like an Americana hasn't changed. Like a cross choke hasn't changed. Rear naked choke. Like all of these things. Like these are the basics that everybody needs to learn. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. Now, and I would say this that curriculum is not a one and done thing either, even at the fundamentals level. Like, if you're not trying to tweak and tune your curriculum and become more skillful as time goes on, I think that's a mistake as well. And I think that if you were to develop one basic curriculum for all and never grow and evolve or not have an advanced program, like, yeah, I think that could be a path to a McDojo.
I think we're on version 8 of ours.
Yeah, I think depending on what level, yeah, I don't know.
For fundamentals?
Definitely, I've seen several
Fundamentals?
versions since I've been here, that's for
Right.
sure. So prior to me, yeah, and I remember old videos like on YouTube of them all.
Yeah,
Um,
we used to just have written videos. We didn't have everything filmed. Okay.
right,
And
right.
I think one of the big things, Phipps, I want you go first, curriculum, and then I'm going to go. So what do on the Muay Thai side, which is even less curriculum, right? Like that's just, for sure. There's the idea of curriculum in Muay Thai is almost foreign.
Yeah, I think. Listen, if you're worried about your academy becoming a McDojo, then just go do competitions. And if you're getting blown out by everybody, you're probably a McDojo. You need to change things. Um, but if your students are beating other students, especially other schools that are around you, and not all the time, but they're still winning some, then you're teaching
I like to say 75%.
75%.
I think 75% is what I'm always shooting for
Yeah,
when you look at a number. But go ahead.
I I agree. And so I see this type of pushback a lot, and not just I see it in the curriculum discussion. We also talk about promoting students a lot too. And it's definitely in the promoting students, like, oh, you're just a belt factory, you're a McDojo. Well, it's like, put our blue belts against your blue belts, we're gonna win some. And if we're a McDojo and we got people beating you, that's bad for you. That's really bad. But
You know what a white belt with 3 stripes is called? A fucking white belt.
exactly. But what promotions do and what curriculum does is it creates a standard that everyone can measure themselves against. The regular student, right, can do this technique in week 1, unit 1 of fundies, and by the time they're 2 or 3 stripe, if they're still in fundies class and that unit comes back around, they're like, oh, holy shit, I remember the first time I learned this and I couldn't do it. That's a visible progress marker for your student. That's going to be what keeps them in your academy. And in the end, I will say that my belief is most academies and most instructors, all you need to do is keep people in your school, and they will get decent at jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or whatever you're teaching. You have to just keep people in your school. A curriculum gives you a set standard to hold people against, but also just to make sure that people are progressing like along the same path, right? Jiu-jitsu specifically, Muay Thai to less to agree, but Jiu-Jitsu specifically, there are so many pathways you can take, right? By the time you get to an advanced student, very few people are going to be looking just like the person who they've been training with, right? They're going to have their own style. They're going to have their own techniques that they gravitated towards and became part of their game. But especially at the beginning, like you said, shrimping, hipping out, that's the same, escaping the bottom of half guard, that's the same. Like, it's the same for everybody. So if you standardize it and you make sure you're teaching it at a certain cadence, right? That's just making sure that your students get the same experience at the younger levels. And as they grow, as they get into more advanced classes, it's a little bit less like of a specific curriculum. You teach this week, you teach this next week. So even in Muay Thai, it's the same thing. Like you said, the jab is the jab. There's no secret new way to teach a jab, but we have to make sure we're teaching the students the jab. We don't want anybody to get through whatever kickboxing or fundamentals and be missing a key component to the game. They need to be able to know that, and we know we're teaching them that because the way we have promotion set up and the way we have our curriculum set up, we know they're getting that experience.
I want to touch on something that both you said. Phipps, yours is the freshest in my mind, so I'm going there first. And I'm about to go into this with with 2 of my basketball coaches, the Simon's team, Simon's elite team. And I'm going to give this example and tie it back in. They want the kids to only play on that elite team at 11 years old. Okay? I understand that for the starters, for example, right? Because they play the majority of the game. But it goes back to what you said. How do you get good at anything? You get good at anything by doing it. And right? So for the kids that don't start, for the kid, if there's a 40-minute game or a 36-minute game, for the kid that plays 10 minutes of that, how is he supposed to get good? How is he supposed to go work on his shit that maybe you taught him at practice, but he never gets to do in a game because he only plays a quarter of the game? Like, you can't get good, right? You have to do the thing to get good. Curriculum in jiu-jitsu is what allows people to do the thing and then measure it against something. I couldn't do it before. I can do it now. I've seen it once. The class comes back around. One, you have to do the thing and have something to measure against. Okay? Jordan, what you said, and maybe this sounds a little fucking arrogant right now. I'm not sure. I'm sitting in Hawaii, and what classes are going to be taught today? All of them. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be taught to what? The standard that we wanted. Right. Right? The standard that we at the top set. That this is how the fucking class gets taught. Now, look, you don't need curriculum maybe if you, as the academy owner, plan on teaching every single class and making every single phone call and cleaning up the school and doing everything. Now, look, if that's what you want to do, God bless you, more power to you. Don't just get off the fucking podcast. Yeah. Right? Like there is 0 point for you to be listening to this, to do any of our stuff, to follow me on Instagram, to follow Easton.Online on Instagram. It's fucking pointless. But if you want some shot at freedom, right? If you want to be able to go to Masters Worlds, right? Jordan, you went to Masters Worlds a couple weeks ago, yeah? Yep. Were you wondering and worried and concerned about how all the classes at all the schools, the kids programs were being taught?
Not at all.
No, not at all. Because why? We have curriculum, we have standards, we have something for people to watch, visualize, and then go replicate. So it's totally up to you. Again, if what you want is a messianic style school, just fucking we'll talk to you later. Good luck. Do your thing. I fucking get it. It's tempting. It's tempting. But you don't need curriculum. But if you want some freedom, if you want to take your kids here and there, if you want to travel, go do this and that, then and not worry, you need some curriculum.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was a point that I was thinking about as we were talking that I felt like I forgot to emphasize a little bit was, if you want other instructors to be able to teach what you want taught to the standard that you want, curriculum is pretty essential to that, because I imagine then the alternative is you teach all the classes until you have some black belt that you've brought up over the last decade that you want to turn over the reins. But but I imagine when you're not teaching from a curriculum, it's possible that the overall skill level of the student body may become, and I can't say this with certainty, but I could suspect that it might become kind of narrow because you default to teaching what you know, what you like, what your game is, right? And so on one hand, if you think that without curriculum, it's like higher quality and more creative, I actually think it's the other direction. I think that you can provide everybody with a much stronger base to jump off and explore and find their own style because creativity comes from limits,
Yeah, it's a great quote. Creativity comes from limits. Who said that?
Jon Stewart.
I think there's a great story about Higan Machado and one of his students, and Higan Machado's student. This is in the days before curriculum. Higan Machado's student was in a tournament, and he got the guy in his position, and he knew the coach of the other guy too, and they were joking and talking and having fun through the match, And the other coach is like, Higan, this damn move again, And Higan was like, yeah, but if he gets out of it, your guy's going to win because my guy doesn't know anything else outside of this, right? And that comes from a lack of curriculum, right? Because it doesn't you got to eat your vegetables, dog. You know what's not fun? Escaping the back. You know what's not fun? Escaping the mount. I would love to just attack all day long, right? But curriculum ensures that everyone that everyone eats their vegetables, right?
Yeah.
That everyone,
Right.
you know, when your position gets blown and they get out of your, special shit that only you do like a fucking ninja, you can escape the damn side control after they pass the guard, and it just makes sure that happens. Now, at the advanced level, I agree, way less curriculum. Blocks,
Right.
right? We teach blocks. Like
Yeah.
I did a front headlock block. When I come back, I am going to do a guard passing block.
Yeah.
And we're going to do guard passing for the rest of the year. Right? We're going to do guard passing for the rest of the year up until December. I don't like to teach. In December, I free for all because it's so sporadic with students, So I'm like, anybody have a question? All right, let's fucking do it. Go ahead, Jordan. You're going to say something.
How do you decide? Like, are you like watching the students in Denver? Are you seeing like, man, nobody's really playing their front headlock game skillfully? Are you watching competitions and be like, man, this is something we need to spend some time on? Or is it more or less like, this is what you're workshopping, this is what you're studying, and so you're just passing it on? Like, how do you determine what you teach?
How do I determine it?
Yeah.
I come back to defense. Okay, so I always do defense twice a year. That's rule number one. Okay, so we spend 2 to 3 months a year on defense. Now, when I'm doing defense, I'm not just showing defense. I'm probably showing some leg entanglement because everything I'm showing from defense tries to get you onto a leg or in some sort of attacking position, right? Like, so for example, side control escape. Okay, I'll show side control escape directly to the clamp, which then leads to a triangle. So we work on finishing our triangles, and then we'll go onto the leg as well, because when they posture out of the triangle, it leads to the leg attack, right? So teaching a lot of concepts there. Kipping escape from the mount, things like that, right?
So it's countering defense just as much as it's defending.
Yes, yeah. The idea of going from defense to offense, skipping neutral. Whenever I show defense, I show that. And what that leads to, even if the person can't get to the offense, it definitely makes their defense better. Does that make right? You get out better,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So that's always number one. Number two, I'm definitely spending the majority of the rest of the time, for example, on the guard. Okay, the top of the guard and the bottom of the guard. Okay, and then I want to throw in these random more things. Like I'll always do like a month or so, like front headlock. Okay, you have to, being good on the front of the turtle is important. It opens up the back more. But I the way I like to do it is the random ones, like the smaller positions, a little less time. Like I haven't done front headlock in like 2 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. That was a selfish question on my part too.
Oh, good.
Because I wanted to write that down. That's really cool. So it's like philosophically, you have these core domains that you cyclically revisit, but then you pepper in other positions and things that you think are important as needed.
Yes, and it's heavily focused. Like I said, how I never skip defense, and we do it multiple times a year. It's because if you can't defend, you won't attack. All the other cool shit that I can show or that anybody can show, right? And we're talking more at an advanced level here now, right?
Right.
If you can't defend, if you can't escape side control, then you won't attack. There's just no fucking way. And look, it happened to me yesterday. I was here. I went up to Gilberto's school to train, and there was this big dude, 300 fucking pounds.
Heard about
and
that.
And obviously I have to roll with him because I'm a big dude too, right? So we train, and I just let that motherfucker pass right away, right? Like immediately,
Yeah.
And I stay real super tight. And then I waited for him to make a mistake. I went right from defense to offense, right? Like he stepped over incorrectly, and I entangled his leg into Ashi. He yanked it back, but it let me sweep. And then I smash him for a minute, get him real fucking tired. and then, do my thing. And then after the first tap, after I got him tired, then I sat up, played my guard, no passing, right? And I went over and I talked to one of my friends who I know really well. He's like, why did you let him pass like that? And I was like, because I trust my defense. I was like, I trust my defense so much that he's probably not going to finish me. He's going to make a mistake, and then I can go. But he's 25 years old. He's 25 years old, 300 pounds. He's 20 years younger than me and heavier.
Yeah.
Like, if I try to match force with force, even though I'm better, I'm going to either get hurt or get tired.
Yeah.
And if I get tired, that will lead to me then getting hurt.
Yeah.
So this is why you have to come back at an advanced level. You have to come back to defense a lot. And this is why we're training the way we are, especially in Denver. Every round starts in a bad position. Mm-hmm. Every round. And it's not and it doesn't end on the escape necessarily. Right? It ends when a full guard is established or a reversal. And this teaches, in my opinion, the concept. Have we gone over this?
I don't know.
The concept of two things on the podcast. I was wondering if we've gone over it.
I don't think so.
No, two things, right? Because you don't want your students in the jiu-jitsu sense to be like holding on to the mount for dear life when it's getting lost.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to take one little step backwards. And man, they're going to escape the mount. Make sure you end up chest to chest half guard. Mm-hmm. And it forces people to work on their defense every day.
Right. Right.
So these in an advanced curriculum, I believe in positional training mostly, but like that, not just escape mount, not just escape back, because it teaches the wrong thing. It teaches you because even if you tell people not to hold on, if losing is losing the mount, then they're gonna do everything they can to hold on.
So this is super interesting because it comes back to like what you said at the beginning is that like when we talk about curriculum, to our audience, so like on social media or whatever, they're like, this sounds a little McDojo-ish. But I feel like if you just listen to the way you just express the way you approach an advanced class, I don't see how that correlates to anything McDojo-like,
Oh, I don't. It can't, because that's what John's doing with his guys.
Right. And then going back. Exactly. There you go. And then so it makes me wonder, too, if curriculum just doesn't evoke like, like when I did Taekwondo as a kid, maybe that was a black belt factory. Like get your black belt in a few years, you learn your forms, learn the meanings of the forms, you do the things, you come to the right amount of classes, and you're going to get leveled up no matter what. And, I know jiu-jitsu, everybody's starting from a different point. A 20-year-old D1 wrestler starting jiu-jitsu is going to look very different in 10 years than a 50-year-old with no experience who's out of shape. Like, they're not going to be held to the same standard, but I don't think that qualifies as a McDojo,
And look, at your school... Sorry, go ahead.
And I was just going to wrap up that thought by saying, like, going back to our original question, like, why are people so against it? It seems to me that just the notion of a curriculum may evoke a more traditional martial arts testing based, pay your money, meet the requirements, get your belt kind of thing,
Yeah, let's be clear. We have no belt testing.
Right, no belt testing.
Right. There's no belt. I mean, even if there's belt testing, there's no money attached to it. Like, so, like Jay does belt testing, but he doesn't attach money to it.
Right.
Right. Like, he's not like, hey, make sure you pay, because when you pay, I'll make sure you pass,
Right.
But like, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Look, you're going to have not the best students, right? Like in this McDojo thing. Everyone's not going to be really good. They might be really good for who they are.
Right.
And that's what you and we try to do at our academies. We try to bring the best version of you out. Not the best, not Gordon Ryan, right? Not Nicky Rod, okay? Let me tell you, everyone, you're not going to produce many Nicky Rods. You can't do it. That freak of an animal, of an athlete, has to walk into your school. You can't make that guy. You can't. And if that person walks into your school, more power to you. There you go. You get one. You get one. And that's it. But nobody made Nicky Rod. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks that like if you're not producing, if you're not having that, then it's a McDojo, dog. You know?
Yeah.
What are you saying, Phipps? You're muted. No.
Every school's a McDojo, right?
Yeah.
Everyone. If that's the barometer, like world champions. You know, there's not very many schools producing world champions, so you probably have a McDojo. And if you're not producing world champions and you're not making any money with your school, then like just what's going on? Like, you want to have this hardcore approach where we don't do promotions, we have no curriculum, we have no world champions, and we make no money. Well,
right.
Cool. Yeah. Do you think? Do you think? You know, do you think? World champions are world champions, man. You know, world champions are world champions. John Jones, he was going to be world champion whether he walked into Jackson's or whether he walked into AKA or whether he went to ATT or whether he went to go see Duke Rufus. You know, he was going to be world champion. That motherfucker's brothers both played in the NFL. He chose a different sport. He was going to be world champion. Now, look, I'm not saying coaching doesn't matter. You know, but like look at him. You know, look at him. John Donaher has a curriculum in his mind. Now it's a little different, but he still follows one in his mind. You know, and he's teaching only advanced students. And I think one of the biggest, you know, like, and we'll finish on this with the curriculum. I don't get too irritated, I guess, when people hate on curriculum at a slightly higher level. But if you're not doing well and you're not keeping your white belts and they're getting hurt and they're quitting and your retention is shitty, okay, the number one thing for you to look at is your fundamentals curriculum, okay? The reason we give it out in launch, right, when we help you launch your school, if your school's under 100 members, is because we know if you fucking follow that thing, students don't get hurt, they feel successful, and then they don't quit. And back to Phipps's point, if they do the damn thing, they get better. And that's the simple thing. Just like with my kid, just like with the basketball coaches, like I'm going to talk to them. Let these kids that play on the bench go play on another team, man, as well. I'm not saying they don't play for our team. But, like, man, you got to get in-game live experience, not looking over your shoulder to see if the fucking starter's coming back in because you fucked up. We are not the NBA. We are not college. We are not high school, right? These kids are still so developing. These are the same as your white belts, right? Like, if the kid is like, oh, shit, I fucked up. Here comes the starter. Here comes – he's got to go play and be the man. Let him go play and be the man. Right? Maybe he'll actually become the fucking man as they get older. If that's the goal. If that's the goal. Or do you want world champion white belts? Right? And if we're determining McDojo on how your white belts and blue belts do, shit, dog. You know?
Yeah.
When's the last time you remembered a world champion white belt? I know one. I can remember one, but you remind us all the time. Foster.
That was not who I was expecting you to say, but that's amazing.
Foster's our one and only. No, Anna won it too. We have
Foss
two
win worlds at white belt.
Yeah, see, I don't remember because nobody fucking cares.
Got it. Yeah. We probably have more.
Congratulations. Yeah, we probably have way more.
But we totally don't remember and don't care. No, it's good.
And don't care. Nobody cares. Your wife doesn't. Boss's wife doesn't give a rat's ass.
No.
You know what she wants? Money. She wants the house to be good, him to be a good dad. She wants to be loved. She wants the dishes done. Right? The same thing every spouse wants. Give a fuck. And that's what we're really trying to produce out of people.
Yeah.
You know, and make them fucking badasses to the best of their ability. We're not comparing to Gordon Ryan and Hodger fucking Gracie because everyone is falling short of that. Let's add Marcelo in because those are the three best to ever fucking do it.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, let's remind everybody, Accelerator program. Yes, Accelerator. Go jump on it. Week free. I gave a little hint on how to do that in the beginning. We just started. I just started. Jordan, I know you're not on Instagram, but Phipps, you are. Should have been shared on all of our Instagrams. The Academy Growth Hub. It's a broadcast channel off of my Instagram so that a little more in-depth with us. You know, Phipps can film a video, send it to me, and I can put it out. Jordan can film a video, send it to me, and I can put it out. Okay? So we just started that. Go join the Academy Growth Hub on Instagram. You can ask questions to us. Look, it will be like you're asking questions to me, but if it's super geared towards kids, I'll be like, yo, Jordan. And like, you know, Jordan can just film a quick video real fast. So we just started that. If you have under 100 members, we have launch. Okay. So if you're just starting, if you have 0 and you're like, yo, I'm going to start a school in 6 months, we have launch. So we have all of these programs. We are believers in not breaking your back, obviously, right? These $10,000 sales courses, no, we don't do that, right? Super cheap. It's the cost of one member. Launch is $500 for 3 months. So what's that, $150 a month or something? I'm not good at math. A little more than $150, right? So go get these things. We're here to help. I'm at Fire Marshal. We're at Easton.Online. Phipps, tell them who you are.
Mike_Phipps on Instagram. If you have any questions about your academy, issues that you're having, you're not sure you want to jump on the accelerator or launch program, email us at info@Easton.Online. We'll answer questions for you. We really do want to help you grow your academy, and if we need to establish a relationship before we do that, we're happy to do it. So email us any questions you have, any issues you're having with your academy, your staff, and we will do our best to help you out.
That's a great point, Phipps. I answer everyone's question. I get hit up a ton, and I answer all of the questions. I've even jumped on some phone calls with people that need some help that are not our members, that have been our members and canceled, right? I was on the phone with one of our members that canceled because like I want him to do well, right? And that's our thing, right? Is we want martial arts to do well. We're going to do fine, you know? We're going to do fine. But if we can grow the whole thing, let's go. Yep. Jordan's not on the gram. Jordan's not on Facebook. He rolls incognito. He's missing all the dog and cat memes right now.
Got it.
They're too good, bro. They're too good. So anyway, guys, that's it. Have a good day.
Later.